What's up, dudes? It's Molly. Excuse the big head hat. I have my headphones on because it's easier to talk with the headphones on. I just got a request from Spirit. Spirit said, Molly, will you talk about when you got pregnant, when you were 18 years old? And I said, yeah, I'll talk about it. So here it is, because we have a bunch of blabbing know-it-all charlatans that are absolutely going to get exposed for the false information they blab out. So when I was 18 years old, the winter of 92, I was going to public school, a school called Osceola High. I was dating this, kind of casually dating this dude a little bit older than me. And I ended up pregnant. I had just turned 18 and I was terrified. It never crossed my mind that I didn't have to tell my parents, that I could just go and get an abortion. So let's remember, spectrumy women are three, especially if you know you have a spectrumy kid, especially if you know you have a spectrumy daughter. Spirit may be sending a galactic mama into your life to tell the harsh truth. Spectrumy women have a 3 times more chance of being taken advantage of sexually. 3 times more chance. I myself have been raped more than once. When I got pregnant with this guy, this particular guy did not take advantage of me. This was consensual. He was a little bit older than me, already out of school. And for the record, I was not taken advantage of by this guy. He was a stand-up dude who actually took me, in the end, took me to have the procedure done. Drove me home, made sure I was okay. And I have seen him not too long ago. He's got a new wife and she seems delightful. And I hold no beef with this dude because he is a stand-up dude. He was only a little bit older than me and we were young and dumb kids. So it never crossed my mind I didn't need to tell my parents. And I went and I told my parents. And my mother didn't, of course, was not pleased. And she went through her own thing, I guess you would say. And at the time, her own thing was she decided she was going to shun me and not talk to me. So I only had my dad to help. My mom has since apologized for doing that to me. So I only had my dad to help me. And the next day, my dad drove me to this little strip mall that said Pregnancy Resource Center. He had no idea what to do. But we had driven by that strip mall place that said Pregnancy Resource Center. And when I talked with my mother and father, it was made very clear that baby was not going to be raised in that household. I had already made up my mind that I was going to get an abortion. I was too young. It wouldn't be fair to grow that fetus to fruition. And when the day I got the procedure done, I was 7 weeks pregnant. So if you have a chance, right now, do a quick Google and look at what a 7-week fetus looks like. And then think about what I went through. So my dad brought me to this place that just said, it was in a strip mall, and it said Pregnancy Resource Center. And I went in. It was set up like a clinic. My dad stayed in the waiting room area. And what I thought was a nurse, she was in scrubs, brought me into this little room. In the little room, it looked like it was maybe an old dentist office that they had taken over. And so if you can imagine how little that room would be. It had a big TV. Imagine like the old AV setup back then. The big TV on the rolling cart with VCR under it. And one folding chair in this little room. And another chair against the wall, a folding chair that was unfolded. It was just leaning up against the wall. And this nurse brought me into the room. And she told me to sit down in the chair. And I was going to watch a short video. And then we'll talk about my pregnancy resources. And I said, okay. And just turned 18. Edge of 17. Just turned 18. She turned out the light so I was in the pitch dark. She started the video, turned out the light so I was in the pitch dark. And left. And I was in this tiny little room, forced to watch. Now, in hindsight, as a grown woman, I understand it was like a special effects type video. I was forced to watch a total fake video of a full-grown baby getting its head ripped off, getting its arms and legs ripped off, supposedly in utero, and they were showing me what an abortion was. There is no way this was a real video. This was completely like a Photoshop type thing. And I had to watch a full-blown baby get its head ripped off. Well, first its arms ripped off. I had to watch it writhe in pain. This was totally fake, false, and made up. And they had me do it, psychological torture, all alone in this tiny little room in the dark. Its arms were ripped off, its head was ripped off, and then its body parts were ripped off. And then when the video was done, the woman who was dressed in scrubs flicked on the light, walked back in, unfolded the chair, and looked me straight in the eyes, which is absolutely terrifying for an autistic person. And she explained to me how her children were adopted, and she hopes I will choose the path of adoption. That's what those pregnancy resource centers do. That's what was done to me. And they are not a pregnancy resource center. No, they're a propaganda machine to push forward a false narrative. Because if I were to have an abortion, and I did have an abortion, it didn't look like a full-blown baby getting its arms and head ripped off and the baby screaming in fake utero. My 18-year-old self didn't understand what these charlatans were doing. So I just sat there and watched this whole thing. I took this lady looking in my face, telling me these things about her children, gifts from God, and the whole time they were mind fucking me. I looked back at her and I said, I'm going to get an abortion. Can I leave? And she looked me in the face again and said, I really hope you will think about what I told you about my own children who are adopted. And I looked back at her again and I said, I am going to get an abortion. Can I leave? And she finally said, yes, you can leave. And she opened the door and she let me out of that little cubicle room where she tried to mind fuck me. That woman was not a nurse. None of these people are nurses. They're pushing forward their own agenda by trying to mind fuck scared young girls who are not prepared to be parents. And they all think they're earning brownie points with God. Yeah, none of those charlatans who were showing videos, completely science fiction, made up videos of a baby getting his head and arms ripped off. Yeah, they're not getting brownie points with God, taking sovereignty away from a woman and not letting her choose what she wants to do with her own body. They're not winning brownie points with God. No, those bloated bobbleheads of moral righteousness, and all of them are in really ugly shoes, are actually going to go to the exact opposite of where they think they're going. Because they all think they got a first-class ticket to heaven. Yeah, but their ego got a third-class ticket to hell. The most dangerous person is an unawakened, blabbing know-it-all. Because their whole ego is running the whole show. Their ego and a pair of ugly fucking shoes. So that's what happens in those pregnancy resource centers. So when I walked out, my dad was sitting in the waiting room. And I went up to him and my voice cracked. I said, I'm ready to go, Dad. And we got in the car and I broke down crying. And I told my dad what they made me watch. And my dad stopped driving and he looked at me and he said, baby girl, I'm so sorry. I brought you there. I'm going to bring you to Health Partners tomorrow. And we went to a licensed, real health clinic with no agenda, no propaganda, no mindfuckery. And we found out all our options. And I have my dad to help me. So, I made an appointment on the day I had an abortion. I, to this day, do not regret having an abortion. That child, if I had grown it to fruition, yeah, that seed that was not a seed, it was a seed with a root, and it was not a full-blown peach tree. If I had allowed that seed to grow to a full-blown fucking peach tree, that child would have had a miserable life because I was too young. That's what these blabbing rich know-it-alls don't understand. Forcing people to have children they can't afford. They say, well, tighten your belt. Oh, okay. Rich person, how many vacations you been on this year? All these people completely buying into a false reality that they're earning brownie points with God by taking sovereignty away from women and children. And now the team that they're on, that they push this giant ball called oppression over women and children. And I say children because a little girl can get her period at 8 years old. Yeah, their team, they call themselves pro-life, but it's actually forced birth. That ball ended up now that they started pushing, ended up where several states now, women and children have no choice. If they get held down and raped, their life is now over and they're forced to grow a rape baby. You are now the mother of that rapist's child. You have no choice. Why? Because these hoity-toity said so. They just decided. Pushing a fake agenda because they all think they're just like Mother Teresa. I'm going to heaven just like Mother Teresa. Yeah, Spirit already said, all those bitches, if you've been to a fucking forced birth, also known as pro-life gala, if you have ever been, if you've had cute shoes on or fucking ugly ass fucking shoes on, if you've ever been there, pushing forth that fucking ball, which ended with several states in the United States, women and children are now forced to grow rape babies. Yeah, your divine mission that you made up for yourself is getting clearly put out by Spirit right at this very moment. You are going to spend the rest of your life now in scrubs yourself. You are going to donate your time free of charge, and you are going to be a doula now. All your hopes and dreams, the things that you wanted to do, are over. You have no choice. Just like Mother Teresa, you are going to give your services for free for the rest of your life, and you are going to help birth those rape babies that you are forcing these women and children to have. That's your new mission. If you don't, you will put a curse upon your bloodline for the next 10 generations. Your bloodline of women to get assaulted, all because of fucking you and your bloated bobblehead of moral righteousness. You are to donate all of your gala dresses immediately. You better clean out your closet. Spirit has already said too, the hose, the bag, the perfume, all the shit where you looked in the mirror and you're like, I'm fucking hot. I'm hot. I'm about to go oppress women and children. No, I'm going to convince everybody that seed with a root in it is a full-blown baby and I'm going to win brownie points with God. I'm just going to oppress women and children and force them to have rape babies. Well, I'm going to say, no, I don't really believe that you should have to have rape babies. But I'm on this team that's the end goal, is they all have to be, yeah, and incest too. Yeah. You better donate those fucking dresses. You don't need them anymore. You have a new mission. And you don't want to piss off Spirit, because you've heard right now what your new mission is. You are no longer going to make money. You are no longer going to go to fancy fucking galas and ugly ass shoes and blab about your fucking bloated bobblehead of moral righteousness. No, you're going to put your money where your mouth is. Go take doula training and start birthing those fucking babies. Hypocrite. Doing it for supply. Yeah, you're gonna learn where your ball ended up landing. Yeah, I scream, you scream, we all scream. Yeah. No, you wear scrubs because sometimes when those little girls have to birth those rape babies, they scream and blood squirts out. You don't need your fancy, ugly ass shoes. You're wearing Crocs from now on. Crocs. You can pick whatever color you want. You can buy whatever scrubs you want. You can't buy any more fucking gala dresses to suck your own ego dick. Spirit said enough is enough. Mr. and Mrs. Know-It-Alls. So when I had an abortion, that dude picked me up, brought me there in the morning. We were on like, what I remember, I was kind of in my own world at the moment. Very scared. Knowing this is what was best for this situation. Because I know me. Yeah, that's what these blabbing know-it-all charlatans forget about. They don't know what they're talking about. And he was very kind. I was just 18. He was maybe just 19 or 20. Already out of school. He drove me there. He walked me in. He brought me to the door of this hallway. He said, here we go. This is the room. He sat down. I walked up to the counter to go register. The receptionist was on the phone. I'm sitting there waiting. He's all nervous, sitting down. I look over. I see some fucking x-rays of a head. I hear the ladies, the receptionist say, well, we have your crown scheduled on Tuesday and a root canal on. I look at the little business card holder. Yeah, we're in a dentist office. Yeah, he brought me to. Yeah, I turned around. I said, we're in a dentist office. He's like, oh my God. He ushers me out. We go 2 doors down. All the girls were there. There was 2 other girls there. They were there with their mother. So what they did to me at 7 weeks pregnant is they took these little rods. I had to pay extra to get nitrous oxide to calm myself down. I believe it was $75 extra. So I remember laying there. And if you remember ever getting nitrous at the dentist or something like that, that's what it felt like laying there. And then they had these little rods, and she showed me exactly what was going to happen. Very friendly, kind, loving, protective people. Told me every step of the way, are you okay? Is everything all right with you? No agenda. These people had no agenda. They were providing a service, and they did it with kindness. So that she showed me there was these little rods, and it started with a very thin one, and my legs were up in the stirrups. And what they did is they inserted a rod into my cervix and then pulled it out. And what your cervix is this thing that's clamped shut. And when you go into labor, when you hear you're at 10 centimeters, you're at 4 centimeters, that's what they're talking about. Your cervix opens up, and then the baby can come through and you're ready to get birth. Yeah, this was 7-week-old shrimp-looking thing with nubbins. This wasn't. I wasn't going to get arms ripped off. I wasn't going to get a head ripped off. No, because that doesn't even happen. Do we understand that? That does not even happen. So she put the little rod in and then pulled it out. went to the next bigger size rod and pulled it out. And she got my cervix open enough where a long Q-tip could be put inside, and she swabbed it out. That fetus was less than half the size of a blueberry. And that was my abortion. Afterwards, I had to stay for, I think it was like 20 minutes in a recliner. They gave me some juice and a cookie to make sure like the nitrous is wearing off, my body was okay. You end up having really bad cramps and you start bleeding. It feels like a really bad period. So they gave me these really big pads to wear. And I sat in that recliner. There was a girl in the recliner next to me. Her mother was sitting next to her, holding her hand. And the other girl, I think she was still in her room. I think later she did come out, and her mother was with her too. I just did it all by myself. And then after that, the nurse, the actual nurse, a registered nurse, she told me, "You can leave now." And I went out to the waiting room, told the dude it's all done. He gathered everything. He put me in his car and he drove me home. So if your child if you ever find your child pregnant, when you least expect it, here is my advice. As a parent, don't ever punish your child for this situation. Being in that situation is scary enough. If you need to give your child some sort of health resources, stay away from anything that says pregnancy resource center. And go to an actual established clinic. That's my advice to everyone. Or to go to Planned Parenthood. When I went to Planned Parenthood when I was pregnant with my kid, my son, I did it with my daughter too, I believe. I did it with my daughter. Yeah. They had no agenda. I had taken a pregnancy test and I'm like, oh my fucking God, I'm pregnant. Yeah, but I was a grown woman. And I knew I was going to grow that seed with a root in it to fruition. But I wanted to make sure I was really pregnant in it. So I went to Planned Parenthood. There's a Planned Parenthood. You can just do a walk-in. They were so kind, so nice. They said, yes, we'll do a pregnancy test. I went, got a pregnancy test. I said, yeah, I'm going to grow this into a child. Because they said, do you need resources? Isn't that weird how they use that? And I said, I'm not going to get an abortion. I'm going to grow this into a child and give birth. And she said, well, that's a great news for you today then. Do you need resources? She said it again. At Planned Parenthood, they're not there salivating to give you an abortion. No, they're an actual clinic that gives non-biased help to you however you ask for help. They don't try to push an agenda. They don't give false videos that young, scared teenage girls are forced to watch. They don't try to mind fuck you. They help you. Whether you want to grow that baby to fruition and have it be a baby that you're going to give birth to, or terminate that 7-week-old fetus. That seed with a root coming out of you. Because it ain't a full-blown fucking peach tree. So we got a lot of blabbing charlatans that are blabbing. And they don't know what the fuck they're even blabbing about. They've never been in that position. They've never had to be forced to watch their own propaganda videos. They've never had to be mind-fucked by people, religious zealots, who truly think that they're earning brownie points with God by forcing people to give birth, taking away sovereignty from women over their own body. Yeah, Spirit tells all those people, sit the fuck down and donate those ugly ass shoes and that gala dress and everything you fucking wore, because you don't need it anymore. Those things are going to go to women who just got out of prison, and they need those shoes more than you do. You are going to start buying Crocs and scrubs, because you are going to be enrolling yourself. Listen up, hypocrites. You're going to be enrolling yourself in doula classes. If you truly care about the soul of that precious baby, then put your money where your fucking mouth is and birth the fucking babies. Instead of just going to a gala and getting a bunch of supply and creating a false reality that you're going to get a first-class ticket to heaven. Today is a big day for the death of the ego of the bloated bobbleheads of moral righteousness. They're going to realize how wrong they are and how much trauma their propaganda puts out. False information, a bunch of bloated bobbleheads of moral righteousness. Just found out, yeah. You're getting a first-class ticket. Not to heaven, though. No. You're going to have to face God. And when your God says, who made you God? Like, literally, who made you me? Because I had a plan with that 7-week-old energy. Was supposed to get slingshotted over to another part of the galaxy. But you fucked it all up. So who made you God? No, you can't sit here next to me, you bloated bobblehead of moral righteousness. You put oppression on a fellow living and breathing person with your own bloated bobblehead of moral righteousness. Yeah, rude awakenings are happening. Better donate your gala stuff. All that's tainted and all has bad juju for you. You are going to start getting towers the longer you don't clean out the old closet. Gala dresses, fancy stuff, any shoes that cost more than $200, they're all getting donated. You have a new mission now. You're going to birth rape babies. Have fun with that. Yeah. You're going to do it for free, too. Just like Mother Teresa. Yeah, death of the ego. There's the truth.